right, Darksiders. So we're back. Star Trek Discovery, episode 6 tonight. It doesn't seem like it's been on that long. 6 episodes in. So we're actually like, wow, we're at like 6 weeks into this show. I think the title of this is pronounced Lethe or Lethe. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But I will tell you that I really enjoyed this episode tonight. Actually, probably one of my favorite episodes so far. I actually wrote down some notes right here because there were some things that I wanted to bring up. I have some questions for you because there were some things where I think I'm making the right connection, but I'm not completely sure. Guys, before we get into this, pay attention. This is the first Dark Side Movie Reviews giveaway that the channel has ever had. So I wanted to try and do something that hopefully you guys really find helpful and find very usable. So we're actually giving away count them, two $50 Visa gift cards. Now, the idea behind these gift cards is that you will take yourself and someone else to movie and popcorn on us. Now, I toyed around with how to do this. I looked at different theaters and I thought about getting gift cards specific to theaters. But then I thought, well, listen, if you're in a place where this theater is not, then how would you spend it? So I thought the most flexible way to do it would be to actually give you guys $50 Visa cards, because then you can spend it really however you want. You can go to whatever theater you want or spend it however you want. So hopefully that is helpful. It's super easy, you guys, to get involved in the giveaway. You have to, of course, be a subscriber to the channel. And then after that, really, that's it. There's a link in the description. Make sure you click that. It'll tell you how to get enrolled in the giveaway. And that's all you have to do. It'll ask you for it'll ask you to either sign in via Facebook or it'll ask you to either sign in via email. And that's so I can get in contact with you if you are the winner of the giveaway. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Get in there and good luck to you. Now, let's talk about episode 6. So listen, I really feel like this series is really kind of starting to sow its roots. You know, there was a lot of shade when this series first came out and people were talking badly about it. And I just couldn't get it. I mean, you guys know that from the beginning, I've loved this series. I think that it is just beautifully shot. I think that the way that it's produced is really, really good. I think that even the execution of the story to me has been good, but people have had problems with it. So I'm wondering now, since we are actually 6 episodes in, what you guys think of the series now. For some of you guys that were on the fence, are you still on the fence, or are you now really starting to be like, like, this is pretty good? So I really enjoyed tonight's episode, and I really liked it really from a story aspect. I really kind of liked the exposure that we got to more of the story and kind of more of what's going on. And there were some tie-ins for me in this episode that was pretty interesting. And I was like, oh, and those are the notes I put right here because I'm going to ask you guys some questions about it. But let's just talk about the story on the whole. So how do you feel about tonight's story? Did you feel that it was interesting? I mean, it was kind of multi-layered, right? We had a lot of different stories going on at the same time. I thought it was pretty cool. I like the fact that we were made a connection with Ash, who now apparently is the new security chief. So I like the fact that they kind of hooked up her being Burnham, Ash, and Tilly, I think is her name, the Ensign Tilly, and they kind of went on this trip to save Serak together. I like the fact that we got an episode with them together and kind of being able to see them interact. I feel like it's the beginning of them kind of having their relationship forged in Discovery. And as I said, one of the things for Discovery to me that I hope happens here is the same thing that happened to me with Star Trek The Next Generation, the development of really interesting characters. So I feel like we're starting to get that. We're starting to learn a little bit more about Tilly. Looks like we're going to learn more about Ash. We certainly are learning more about Captain Lurca. I'm still not sure how I feel about him, whether he really is kind of halfway nuts / bad captain, or maybe he's more loyal to Star Trek, Fleet than he appears. So I'm happy about kind of the development we're seeing now with characters. It was interesting too, you guys, with Serak and how it kind of focused on his story here as well. So what did you guys think about the relationship that he had with Burnham and the relationship with Spock? I thought that was kind of interesting, how we found that he actually really endorsed Spock before he endorsed Burnham. That was interesting to me. And it is interesting too that he seems to have an affinity for Burnham that is not very Vulcan-esque. He seems to really have an emotional tie to her. And as we know, Vulcans are not about that life, as they say. They're not tied to emotions. So, but it is interesting kind of the disposition that he has with her. And he is pure Vulcan, even though he did marry a human wife. So I thought that whole tie-in was interesting, and how they're connected. I thought that was interesting as well. So I'm interested to see the development between those two as we just kind of unfold with stories in Discovery, because we really don't know anything about her. I mean, we know from other series that Spock has a half sister, but we've never met her. So it's cool right now to see now the interaction between her and Serak, and to kind of get to know her better. So we're kind of getting to know the sister that we just hadn't heard anything about. We really didn't have any information about. We just knew that Spock had a sister. So I really like that aspect, and kind of watching all of that unfold. It is interesting, though, what happened with Captain Lorca too. I'm having a hard time really putting my finger on what's going on with him. And I will say this, though. I'm really glad, when he volunteered her to go on that mission, I was like, man, this Joker's nuts. And I wouldn't be surprised if he set something up so that she gets killed on this mission. The ship gets blown up somehow, some way. He reports it back to Starfleet, and he doesn't lose his ship. But do you guys think he knew something about what was going to happen here? You think he was aware that when she got to the negotiations, what happened was going to happen? I don't know. I mean, it would appear not, because the Klingons, right, they were surprised to get her. They thought that it was going to be Serak, and what would have been likely his fate would have been capture, or maybe they would have even killed him. I don't know. So they seem genuinely surprised to get her. But there's a part of me, even though the show doesn't necessarily endorse this thought, that believes that he somehow, some way knew that something like this was going to happen, or kind of knew that something like this was planned. It is a very interesting thing. So I can't really put my finger on whether or not for him this was just a good turn of fate, or he kind of had his hand in this. I'm not really sure. I am also interested to see what happens with Ash as well. I feel like he's gonna become a part of the Discovery, and probably a very loyal and valued part of the crew. But I do wonder kind of what's lurking behind his backstory also, so we don't know a lot about him. And I do think the Admiral actually made a good point. It is interesting that Captain Lorca did kind of just bring him in full swing. I mean, from finding him on a ship to transitioning him to chief of security, that's a big deal. I mean, that's not something that you just kind of offer somebody. If you're talking about chief of security, that's a huge deal. It is kind of cool now, right, that Michael has found her way to the bridge. So she is actually stationed on the bridge now. So she's going to be a lot more in the know than what she would be if she wasn't off of the bridge. I kind of feel like they're moving her towards the captain's chair. I'm not sure when it will happen, but I feel like eventually it will happen. And honestly, I'm not really sure how much longer Lorca is going to be around. I don't know if he gets taken out. We don't know if Mudd, who he met last episode, will kind of get his hands on him and takes him out. Be interesting to see how all of that happens. I also thought it was interesting. I wonder what you guys think about this. I don't know if you guys remember the last episode where, forgive me guys, I'm all over the place here. This is just kind of how I like to talk about the show. You remember the last episode, I think, where Saru was trying to decide what decision to make as it involved Michael Burnham, because he was questioning whether or not the decision he made concerning how to deal with her was right. And he asked for this list of captains, both dead and alive, that were exemplary. And if you notice, as a matter of fact, if you look at the slideshow we have going on here, I actually have that screen popping up. If you look at, my fiance is calling me. If you look at those names on there, Archer's name is on that list. So I was kind of trying to figure out from that where this series was in the timeline, despite what it might have said on the internet or whatever, where this series was on the timeline. So what I'm guessing, and I want to know what you think about this, is that this is during a time where Archer's Enterprise is in why was I about to say is in effect, like it's a rap song, is in service. And the reason I think that is when Burnham and Tilly were jogging, she said something about her getting a post on the Enterprise. And I was like, oh, maybe that's why. That's kind of like that little nugget that was dropped for us. And we see Archer's name on that list. So it's interesting that if that is the case, that this is kind of running in a parallel time where Archer's Enterprise is is on duty. So I just thought that was an interesting fact as well. Also, I do have a question about, so it looks like in this episode, you guys, we saw a jump. We saw a spore jump. When they got to the nebula, it looked like a spore jump. But how did that happen? That's my question. We know that the tardigrade is gone. We know that I think it's Stannis. I always want to call him. It's either Stannis or Stamets. I can't remember. We know that he injected himself with the spores to be able to operate the drive. But how did they make that jump again? Did he inject himself again with the spores? It doesn't appear so, not from the dialogue of the show. So I'm wondering if I missed something. Like, I don't know how was that a jump? Because that did not look like warp. It looked like a jump. And if it was a jump, how did that happen? Did they perfect the technology to be able to make it happen? Somebody fill me in, because I think I missed something, because I'm still confused about how that happened. So guys, I really enjoyed this episode. What did you think about it? Again, are you excited about it? Do you feel like it's getting better? For those of you guys who weren't happy about it, what do you feel about it? Also, what do you feel about the tone of the show? The show is definitely a lot darker in tone than what we've seen from a lot of other Star Trek series. I don't mind that as much, as long as they don't shift to something just completely crazy, which I did feel like it kind of took a low dip for me when they did the whole Klingon cannibal thing. I'm like, come on, man. That didn't even, to me, that doesn't fit in the canon at all. But I do like the darker shift in the tone. I do like the different feel that we have in the Star Trek series. I feel like it's about time that we got something different. And I think it's pretty darn impressive, just personally speaking, that we are getting a show that's written so well, and it's not addressing Star Trek in the future. And a lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said that they want to see what's happening with the Starfleet now, presently. They don't want to backtrack. They don't want to talk about the past. But the fact that this show does that, and it does it so well, I think is really, really impressive. It'll be interesting to see kind of what unfolds here from now. So we know that they've gotten Serak. We know that Serak is better. We know that there is that connection between Serak and Burnham now. We know something's up with the captain. We know now that he's got a lot to lose, so we'll see how he handles that if, in fact, the Admiral doesn't get killed in this whole exchange. I got my eye on him. Oh, man. Sometimes I really like that guy. Other times I really don't trust him at all. But I am also interested to see how the other relationships on the ship unfold. And I'm also interested to see how Starfleet deals with the whole tardigrade situation and how they deal with all of that. So guys, I really enjoyed the episode. That is really all that I have. I do want to remind you again of the giveaway, our first official giveaway. Again, we're giving away two $50 Visa cards. Hopefully you guys will take advantage of that. Go out and check out a movie. A lot of great movies coming out. Thor Ragnarok is coming out. Oh, wow. Not this week. Next week, Thor Ragnarok is coming out. Justice League is coming out. Some other things coming out. You guys can even wait and see Black Panther with it coming out in February. So the Visa gift cards I like because they're very flexible in terms of how you use them and when you can use them. So again, you guys, you have to be a subscriber to the channel. There's a link in the description. Click that link. It'll tell you exactly what to do to register for the giveaway, and then just stay in touch. I will be announcing the winners soon, and I will contact you via email or whatever contact information that you provided to be contacted with. All right, you guys, thank you so much. There should be some more videos popping up here, there, somewhere around me. Make sure you hit that circular subscribe button like I said. Guys, feedback. What'd you think? The show's getting better. And with that, I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.